Good morning. Welcome, Tamara. How are you this morning? Glad you're in here. Today is November the 23rd, opening deer season rifle for us here in Oklahoma. Good morning, Andy. And we are going to be in Proverbs 23 that syncs up with the date of November the 23rd. Good morning, Joey. Glad y'all are in here. Hey, Rebecca, I didn't even see you pop in. I'm sorry. Good morning, Rebecca. I didn't mean to skip over you, my good friend. Let's get started. I'm going no deer yesterday. Going to the blind again this morning as soon as we're done here. Get in there early, get settled, and then you don't have to worry about spooking them going in. So, Proverbs 23, verse 1. The first three verses has a note, so let's read the verses and then we'll read the note. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you. Hey, Alan, welcome in. And put a knife to your throat. If you are a man given to appetite, do not despise his, do not desire. Start over here. Good morning, Alan. I'm glad you're in here. Verse 1. 1 through 3 has a note. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you and put a knife to your throat. If you are a man given to appetite, do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Now, the note, I finally got through the first three verses. I hope the whole chapter ain't that way. Let's look at this note. Put a knife to your throat means to curb one's appetite or control oneself, especially in the presence of a prestigious host. God's people should not be deluded by wealth or drawn in by the wealthy. All right, let's go back up here to verse 4. Verse 4, do not overwork to be rich because of your own understanding. Cease. Will you set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away like an eagle toward heaven, down to the last $100 bill, I believe, or $20 bill. Verse 6, and it's verse 6 and through 8 have a note. So do not eat the bread of a miser, nor desire his delicacies. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. The morsel you have eaten, you will vomit up and waste your pleasant words. And the note there says, who people are is not ultimately defined by their words, but by their hearts. Even though a miser may say, eat and drink, his gift of sickening food exposes the selfish, stingy attitude within. For sure. For sure. The attitude always gives it away. Let's see, verse 9. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. Do not remove the ancient landmark, nor enter the fields of the fatherless. For their Redeemer is mighty, and he will plead their case against you. Apply your heart to the instruction and your ears to words of knowledge. Verse 13 and 14 have a note. Do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he will not die. Proof. I'm proof. I didn't die. You shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from hell. Do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he will not die. Ye shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from hell. Proof. Absolutely. Y'all know the rule of thumb. You can't beat somebody with a rod any bigger round than your thumb. The rule of thumb. That's how that got started. So let's look at the note on verse 13 and 14. Christian home is especially equipped to prepare a young person for life and eternity and the reality of knowing God in a personal way. Biblical parental discipline often paves the way for making a lifelong commitment to Christ in one's youth. I totally agree. Andy getting the good mornings out there. Let's see, verse 15, my son, if your heart is wise, my heart will rejoice. Indeed, I myself. Yes, my inmost being will rejoice. When your lips speak right things, do not let your heart envy sinners, but be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. For surely there is a hereafter, and your hope will not be cut off. So verses 19 through 21, have a note. Let's read the verses and then we'll check out that note. Hear, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. Do not mix with winebibbers or with gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. And that was verse 19 through 21. The note says winebibbers, those who imbibe wine, is used here to typify people who will tempt in and influence someone with good morals to do wrong. Those who would lead one of God's children into addictive or detrimental habits should be avoided at all cost. And then you can look up Isaiah 5:22, Luke 21:34, and Romans 13:13, all around that same subject. Let's see now. Verse 22, listen to your father who begot you, and do not despise your mother when she is old, but the truth and do not buy the truth and do not sell it. Also, wisdom and instruction and understanding. Buy it all, y'all. That's a jackism. That's not in the Bible. Buy it all, y'all. Buy the truth and do not sell it. Also, wisdom and instruction and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he who begets a wise child will delight in him. Let your father and your mother be glad, and let her who bore you rejoice. Verse 26 through verse 28 has a note here. My son, give your heart and let your eyes observe my ways. For a harlot is a deep pit, and a seductress in a narrow well. She also lies in wait as for a victim and increases the unfaithful among men. Now let's look at the note on that. The note there says, the father's urgent appeal relates to the dangers of sexual sin, and also in Proverbs 5:20, 6:24, and 7:5. He warns of two kinds of immoral women: the unmarried, the harlot, and the married, the seductress. Sexual temptation is powerful with devastating consequences, and men are very vulnerable in this area. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And it's everywhere nowadays. Let's see, verse 29 through 35, which wraps up the chapter, has a note with all of that together. So let's read the verses, and we'll take a look at the note. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has complaints? Who has wounds without cease? Who has redness of eyes? Those who linger long, uh, those who linger long at the wine. Those who go in speech in search of mixed wine. Do not lock on the wine. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it swirls around smoothly. At the least, it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart will utter perverse things. Excuse me. Yes, you will be like one who lives down in the midst of the sea, or like one who lies at the top of the mast, saying, They have struck me, but I was not hurt. They have beaten me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake that I may seek another drink? And that is very, very, very true. Wine, alcohol, or the effects of lots of other substances that do that to the body don't want to let you go. I've experienced it both as a son and as a father and as the person involved. So let's see that the note says people who are given to drunkenness linger long at the wine, often find other excesses and negative habits cropping up in their lives, such as poverty, misery, immorality, and instability. Look at Proverbs 21, verse 1, and Proverbs 30, verse 4 and 5. Nothing is glamorous about addiction. Perpetual anesthetizing oneself will destroy a person's life, undermining confidence and respect, desensitizing them to others, and creating a black hole of despair. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. That wraps up Proverbs 23. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 6. Almost said chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. Starting in verse 10. We will get our armor on, y'all, so we can face the day. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints, and for me, that utterance may be given to me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in it I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. And now we are prepared to face our day. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone if you're celebrating this weekend. I know we are with Dina's family today. It is Saturday morning, opening deer season. Good luck to all y'all out there in Oklahoma, at least. So, yeah, lots going on this weekend. God bless y'all. I challenge y'all to go be a blessing for someone else today. And I will see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early.